what would be your three biggest takeaways from 2023?
Three biggest takeaways are AI needs to be integrated into what you do and used to make your time more profitable, more efficient.
Okay.
Number two, Google's new latest algorithms kind of fight against themselves in that they say do not, under any circumstances, buy backlinks to your website. And you can't have mutual backlinks. You can't do all kinds of other backlinks. And yet they require backlinks as part of their algorithm to even put you on the map now. So you have to have backlinks. So if you don't buy them, how do you get them? You know what I'm saying? And then they send you off on this quest to climb this huge high mountain right now. So SEO is just kind of been decimated. And the answers from Google, if you haven't noticed, since that last update, which is October of last year, the answers aren't as good as they used to be. They're not as useful, is what I'm finding. And what's scary is Bing with the OpenAI chatbot actually gives me better search results than Google and more useful search results than Google.
Do you think Bing will cause people to transition? Do you think with the new ChatGPT system, right, where they have the basically on the
Yep.
side the little ChatGPT 3.5, do you think that will cause Bing to expand compared to what's been before? Because I think for the first time, from my perspective, Bing actually there's a reason to use Bing over Google for the first time ever.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know because I've never used it that way. I'm still using Bing as in I'm going into the chat saying, hey, I want to know about how to do this. And it's saying, here are all these possible things, and this is how you do that.
Yeah.
And then I'm following up on those. And then I can ask Bing about particular websites or particular words, because a lot of times what Google doesn't understand, or Google may understand, but as an intellectual fact,
Right.
but as a practical part of their algorithm, there's a lack of understanding that I may not know the right word to use, the right thing to call something that I'm looking for. And when I have a chance to talk about it with a chatbot up front, the chatbot can say, "Oh no, this is what it's called," and then you can go searching that,
Right.
and that's so much more useful, and you get to the end so much faster, with so much less effort. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And you learn some things along the way, which is even better.
Yeah.
Rather than a Google search where you put something in and I hope I get something back that really matters to what I put in. And like I said, lately what I get back is the quality has gone downhill.
Yeah. I could see that. I think with Google, I wouldn't say the quality's gone downhill from my perspective, but I think the way you ask the question is much more important than it's ever been before.
Correct.
I think there's a lot of, which I think isn't a bad thing. I think the specifics being more heavily regulated, I think is a good thing because it means fewer people are finding the wrong result. But I do think for a lot of people, it is going to create some challenges and some backlashes. I mean, I'm waiting to see if Bard gets involved with it personally.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm looking forward to see what Bard does too, because so far my playing with Bard or playing with OpenAI on Bing, I'll take Bing over Bard any day of the week right now for what I'm looking for, the way
yeah,
I'm looking for the questions I'm asking. It may have some use in some other areas.
I think the big thing to kind of distinguish there though would be what kind of questions are you asking Bing and what kind of answers are you looking for? Because I think that's really important that we define that because artificial intelligence isn't artificial intelligence. It's pre-programmed ways to respond and interact with people is realistically what it is.
Correct. But people don't understand is these data sets that they talk about because it sounds cool, right? Data sets. You got these huge data sets, yeah, or matrices. What they really are is a question and then an answer. Question and then what the correct answer is for that. And then it pulls that and says, your question looks like this other question that I have. And these are different possible right answers. So how do I now kind of massage that text together to come out as logical, intelligent speech. That's what's really sitting under AI.
Right.
And even the models, now that we're working on the videos.
Yep.
What I'm learning is most of these models are based on models. And so there's actually, what's weird is, what's it called? Excel.
Okay.
Stable Diffusion has taken a different route than DALL-E 3 that OpenAI did, and different way than Midjourney. So both of them said, this is what this person looks like. When somebody asks for this kind of scene, this is what that looks like.
Gotcha.
What Stable Diffusion did is it said, hey, there's an artistic style. And in this artistic style, these are the types of things you see. And this is the type of ways that people are drawn. And this is how dogs are drawn. This is how trees are drawn. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they give it a model that is very small and says, take this model and now paint it in a Pixar form or a photorealistic form.
Right.
And so it takes that model, which requires less information now, and we know what photorealistic is, and we know what people look like in photorealistic, and it takes that and projects it through that to come up with the final image.
So
completely different. Yes. And it makes for very interesting results and very different results.
So I want to do a separate video to talk about AI specifically, which I want to get into. But I'm curious, what are some things for 2024 that you're hopeful for, or you see as new things to try that business owners should look into?
Well, I think
I guess let's start with what's one or two things that we're doing in 2024 that's different than what we've done in the past.
Right. So in the past, we've done to some degree networking, to some degree relationship building, which is always good.
Yep.
I mean that's key. But I think the more public facing things, and even us, what we're finding is they talked years ago, back in 1980, about video. Video is going to be the big thing. And we're finally at the stage where video is the big thing. And I think building a community around video is really where we're going, which is what we talked about. We talked about last year. We talked about community being the key thing. Your business needs to build a community around itself. And if you don't build a community around yourself, all you're doing is spending a whole bunch of time and effort to find the next customer. And yes, if you get referrals, that's nice too, but you're still finding the next customer if you don't have that community, that reason for those people to be in touch with you.
No, I would agree. I mean, I think a good point though on that note is as well though on our focus of entertainment, right? Like I think something that's changed.
Well, that's the next piece is entertainment, because what do communities revolve around? They revolve around a particular type of entertainment. So you've got your Star Trek people, right?
Yep.
Star Trek fans, and Star Trek we know what Star Trek is. CBS has shown us what Star Trek isn't. And they've gotten a huge backlash. We know what Star Trek is. We know what we are expecting from that genre. Stargate, they're trying to restart it. They're trying to do it again, but they're having the hardest time.
Right.
Because there's a community, and that community has expectation.
I think that's a good point. I think one of the things that you and I both have kind of been looking at quite a bit, because we both read Bob Iger's book, and I wonder if you could touch real quick on.
First of all, give him the title of Bob Iger's
Ride of
book.
a Lifetime.
Ride of a Lifetime. So it's about his time from starting off in ABC, and then going to Disney, and then
not going to Disney, but
being
the acquisitions.
Yeah, ABC being acquired by Disney and so
on. But one of the things I think is a good point that he talks about in that book, and I think this is kind of where we're transitioning into it to a large degree, is he understood entertainment organizations had communities and had brands.
Right.
And he talks a lot about that with Pixar. He talks a lot about that with Lucasfilms a little bit. He talks a lot about it with the Marvel buy. Yep. I'm curious, what do you see as some key takeaways from his book and just from our own experience that people need to be aware of with building these almost entertainment type communities, and these communities in the modern
Right. Well,
days.
yeah. So in the past, you would build something around, like, let's say you replaced Windows.
Okay.
Just pick on people who replace Windows. You might do a show. So in the old days, you would want to be on the Saturday radio show or the Saturday TV show that showed after the cartoons on home improvement.
Okay.
Okay. And you were the window guy and you could answer all the questions about Windows. Or you were maybe a handyman and you answered questions about any repairs people had around the house.
I didn't know that was a thing then. Okay.
It was at a time. There was a day. It's kind of gone now, but that gave you stardom, and that gave you a following, and that gave you business, because people would show up to your business just because they know that you're the guy and they've built trust in you.
Yep.
And the problem is that to go to everybody and say, well, go be that guy, that's fine for one person in your city, right? Or two, maybe. But after that, it's kind of old.
Yep.
And what we're finding is that there's a level of entertainment that almost like the sponsor of whatever the TV show is. Or if you notice on all the football games, the big thing is sponsored by whatever the car company is or whoever it is that's sponsoring.
Or you have like the Taco Bell student section for the college football games.
Yeah. Those kinds of things to, advertise your company. And what's happening now is, because YouTube has become like another TV channel, so to speak, and there's other, and believe
TikTok
it,
and
then there's
Instagram as well.
also are there. There's this whole level of entertainment that people are interested in that would be your ideal customers. That has nothing to do with what you do, but you can now put out that entertainment that they're interested in and be the top of mind person. And that's what our next great experiment is.
Yeah.
For 2024, which I'm excited about, because what's scary is I think it's going to work. I mean, it sounds really like off the wall, out there. But the more I work on the image piece and the video piece for it and getting all that to work.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are wondering about this, just so you know, I have really minimal artistic abilities. Best artistic drawings and things that I've ever done in my life are like where other people start.
Well, yeah, but you did. I mean, I will say to your credit, though, you did do some like, I don't want to say architect drawings, but you did like fan drawings with your dad back in the day. I know.
Yes, but that's numbers and dimensions and hard things that you can measure, not to be confused with
completely artistic. Yeah,
artistic renderings of things. But so now I'm kind of running in that realm, and it's nice to have AI because it knows what it's supposed to look like.
At least it can create some options to choose from.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm working on the prompting, and some of the prompting. What's interesting is, vague prompting is actually better than detailed prompting.
I've ran into that numerous times with Dolly 3. I have not ran into that with Midjourney.
Yeah. Well,
is that your experience with Midjourney?
That's what I'm coming to conclusion. That's what everybody's telling me is you want a generic kind of thing, and then you want to tell it, no, I want it to look more like this. And I'm playing with it.
Okay.
Still learning, but I really think that's kind of that's going to be interesting, because it means that even somebody who doesn't have a lot of artistic ability could do something that requires artistic ability, because that's who my people are. And so, and this changes a lot of what is business that people don't understand, is that in the old days, it used to be, do you want a window? Do you need a door? Do you need a door in your house? You need a door in your house? Do you know anybody who needs a door in their house?
Yeah.
Door that's old and rotting, kind of thing. And that was our only conversation. Now it's people who have doors rotting on their houses that want to replace them with a fiberglass door or whatever kind of door that I sell.
Yep.
What are they really interested in? Are they interested in motorsports? Are they interested in water sports? Are they interested in, do they have kids? Do they not have kids?
Yep.
And now businesses have the ability, the small business, the little guy, not the Walmart, the Kmart, all these mega corporations, right? The little guy now has the ability to have a full-fledged TV show that he sponsors, that's his show, that he controls the content, that those people can see and interact with.
And
And it could be on
I will
any
say
number subject.
it does take time to learn how to do it. Because it's taking you many hours to learn how to do this. It's not something that
Yes.
it's an overnight simplistic thing,
No, it's not 4 hours and you're off to the races.
but it is something that I think there's a lot. I think, as we mentioned earlier, in 2024, entertainment's going to be king, and those who know how to entertain the best will be able to grow the quickest.
Correct. And not just entertain the best, but entertain the right group.
Yes, entertain the people that
entertain their group. So the
matter.
question is what are your people, what are your customers doing for entertainment?
Yep.
Where are they going? What are they watching on YouTube? What do they care about? Because it used to be that's where you wanted to advertise.
Yeah, that's very true.
And now that's where we want to build content for. And then we also want to tell them about what we do.
Yep. Or you try to integrate it in so that it just kind of flows seamlessly.
Correct. Which is what
is preferable.
We're
always,
looking to
I
do.
think, right? I think of, for, just simple example with the window repairs, right? Starting a show about a family living in a house and then having repairs come up that your company truck is used for fixing the window is, that's all you need is simple things like that.
Right.
That create that entertainment and position yourself in a way that people just subconsciously associate you with being a solution provider.
Right. Well, if you remember This Old House.
It's been many years since
I've
watched.
Yeah. So This Old House originally had Bob Vita as the host. And he had developed so much of a following for people who are interested in home repairs and stuff that he was asked to sponsor some spots for Home Depot. And then he got fired from the show. But it's a great demonstration that doing these sorts of things can build you a following that will stay with you for years, and that's your buying public, even though that may not be the specific thing that you do.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about related things, but there are unrelated things. Like,
sometimes.
Well, like football. Like, seriously, what does a car have to do with football? Other than it gets me there and is a place that.
I can argue so many things about how they connect and correlate when it comes to the psychographic side of things.
Right. As far as psychographics,
I would say from like direct linear correlation, non-psychographic, no. But from like a psychographic perspective, the football fan who wants to win is the football fan who usually wants to go fast, which is the football fan who wants to win at races. The competition, that whole, there's so many
correct
psychographical connection points
right
between all of that, if done properly.
Right. But those are the things people look at,
Yeah.
And the thing is that now you can take your passion, your love. We're going to have to look a little bit at copyrights. There's a little bit of copyright stuff. But outside of that, those are all fair game.
Yeah.
If you travel a lot, are your ideal customers travelers? Okay. Is that one of the things that they do? If it is, maybe you should have a travel channel and take videos on every trip that you take and put it out there so that people can get to know the guy who's going to replace their windows that also takes trips to whatever.
So, I think on that note, let's real quick transition to this. What would be 3 marketing words you think everyone should know or learn for 2024?
3 marketing words.
Or 3 terms in regards to their marketing that everyone should take time to learn better or to learn about if they don't know.
From what we've seen, I would say market research is one of them, because a lot of people think they know their customers, and what we're finding consistently, once you start having honest conversations, people don't know their customers. They don't really know their customers, and it's hurting them.
Okay. What about the second one?
The second one is community.
Okay.
Is really, you've got to build a community. It can't be just, I need somebody to buy my widget or whatever it is. If you're selling in a store, who is the community that buys that product? Does that community go to that store?
Yep.
Because if they don't, you're wasting your time putting it in that store. So who are those people? Where do they shop? How often do they shop there? That the whole community piece. And again, that's kind of tied to market research, but it's really focusing on community.
So I'm curious because one of the terms we've talked about quite a bit lately is groups.
Yes.
Would you combine groups with community, or would you separate those?
I consider groups and community to be interchangeable words
Okay.
in my mind.
I mean, I just want to make sure everyone understands. I mean, when we say groups, we're talking about other groups that people might belong to, that they would interact with or associate themselves as fans of that already exists. So that could be, a specific movie, it could be a specific activity, but it's just different things that people would identify as part of who they are. People who are Disney fans or Disney fanatics are definitely a group of people. People who love business is a group of people.
Yes.
And that all goes into the community dynamic, I think. And so I think understanding that dynamic as well is really important.
Correct.
And what would be the third word for the third term?
I think the third term is you need to realize the impact of video on your business, um, on really communicating to the person who doesn't know you well who you really are. And I think a great example of that is what you did this last year. Is we bought a gimbal, we sent you out to shoot video any place you can at any event you can, and all of a sudden we've got people who are following you, or are interested in you, they're not buyers, they're not ready to buy yet, but they know who you are, and
Rapport is being built for sure.
they're keeping track
Yep.
of where you've been, what you're doing, what's happening, why this was a good event, why this is an event that they maybe should have been at.
Definitely had that come up a couple of times.
Yeah. I should have been there. I saw your video. I should have been there, And that's what we're talking about, is this whole thing of, when we talk about video, we talk about, how you use things. It's that building connection with these people in things that they care about, and also you care about.
Yep.
I mean, don't do something that you don't care about, that you don't have an interest in, because it's just going to make everybody unhappy. But if you do something that you're interested in, and it's also connects to your customers, I mean, this is a great video opportunity and photo opportunity. And it's a great time to really catch some memories. Because a lot of times, these are family times, or these are unique experiences that you've had that it'd be great to share. And you might share them in conversation. Well, now you can share them in video. And that just makes it very personable, very connecting. And it gives people a way to connect to you without having to be sold to. Because I think that's the other big thing that we've seen coming, right? I mean, it's been this freight train that's been slowly chugging along, is I don't want to be sold to. I don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold. I mean, when we go to meetings, I'm almost at a point where, like, I don't even want to tell anybody that I'm a marketer, because it's like, oh, then you're here to sell me. I would like to make your life better. We have things on our website to make people's lives better. We have chatbots that we've put together that we're in the process of upgrading once I survive this video thing, that are going to be there to give you advice, to help you actually with your marketing, actually do real, true value, provide real value to people.
Yep.
And if you're a smaller business, it's like, or you're starting up, this is the ideal place to go and get that information that nobody else would tell you, and get off to a good start, and know why your business is going to be successful, or know why you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
Which nobody likes to hear that. I get all kinds of pushback about that, but I think it would be better if someone told you up front that, hey, there's no market for what you're doing, than for you to spend years and thousands upon thousands of dollars advertising something that nobody's going to buy.
That, or at least say there's no market here.
Right.
Because I think that's
the other thing too. If you're a local company, yeah, there may not be a market here, but if you go someplace else, there could be a huge market for that.
Well, I mean, I think of a pressure washing guy that I follow, and he talked about how in his hometown it was a very small market. I mean, he was struggling. He made the choice to be willing to drive 45 minutes, an hour away, and he was able to find a pot of gold basically market, right, where it was a big enough town, enough people working in white collar jobs that it made sense for them. But it was that willingness to travel away from the original market he had been focused on.
Right, which was his backyard.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes you've got to leave your backyard to actually make money.
And so, real quick, finally, with the topic of being the start of 2024, I'd like to know from you, what do you think are 3 tips people should look at, or 2 tips? Just what are some tips that you think people should consider when it comes to creating their marketing plans and strategies and ensuring and the changes and pivots along the way? Because I think everyone's probably built one, or hopefully they've built one by now for 2024. But inherently throughout the year, there's pivots you're going to want to make.
Right. Right.
So, what are some key tips that you would say for people to think about as they're acting on their current plans and looking to pivot throughout the year?
I would say probably the key thing to look at in 2024 is this is going to be a year of change. There's going to be a lot of things, I think, coming up this year that we've been talking about and fomenting. And the market that you have always serviced may not exist. And the market that you've always done well at, or the market you've identified will buy your product, may not be the ideal market for you in 2024. So I would think 2024 more than any other time, you need to be looking for pivots at all points, and you need to be looking for new, what we would call customer segments. In other words, a different group of people, different communities that would also be interested in your product. We always talk about niching down, try to find one that you get really good. Well, that's great. Now that you've got that one, now let's find another. And I think this is really the year to find another, and ideally find 1 to 2 more groups that you can bring in to your business by whatever means.
Yeah, keeping the psychographic the same, but different other segmentations or other factors.
Yeah, or different interests.
Yep.
Because just because somebody's a Star Trek fan doesn't make them a Stargate fan.
Yep.
Just because they're a Star Trek fan, that doesn't make them a Star Wars fan.
Yep.
So you might want to be reaching out to some different groups and looking, who can I add? Who came in that kind of felt like they didn't fit? One of these in a situation that you came across.
Or I mean, it's also looking at who you have and who you might be able to grow that is in a large segment.
Correct. There may be a segment that doesn't even know that they want what you do.
Yep.
And this might be a good year for that, is to try to find one of those and start growing that.
Okay. Any other tips that you would have for people looking at their 2024 plans?
Not really. I mean, I still think that the whole market research thing, this is the year for market research more than ever before, because money's been easy to come by. People have excess money. Everything's fine. And what I'm seeing is slowdowns from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. And where it used to be, things happened on the East Coast and then they made their way west. With Intel, sales dropping and all, and them kind of having to pivot and refigure. That's going to have a huge effect on the West Coast economy.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times the easy money and things that were just obvious that people just had extra cash for, is going to be an issue. So those people who are looking to build a premium product, for instance, that we've talked about, premium product may not be the best solution. You may want to find a group that's below where you're shooting right now, because the premium market may not have the extra spendable cash that they had last year and may not be as interested in spending it.
Right. I think that's, yeah. How about as far as entertainment goes, right? I think there's a lot of business owners that, struggle on the confidence or the how to for entertainment.
Right.
Any big tips that you would give, because I think of our own business, I think of Isozori, like these are very different ways to view social media and marketing and a company. than I think we've seen in the past, right? This focus on entertainment first.
Right.
And I think that's a big transition for a lot of companies to even think about. What would be some tips or suggestions that you would give to owners? Because I think if we're kind of against this idea originally, right? You were very standoffish. I don't know. I'm not sure. So what would be some tips you would give some business leaders or people working for business leaders to like really truly embrace this change of entertainment focus?
Right.
Because you can't measure entertainment focus is the other issue, right? You can't.
Well, you can, but it's really
It's a
hard.
lot harder.
It's really hard.
It's a lot easier to say, hey, we paid for this many clicks and we got this result, or we paid for this many views and we got this result. It's much harder to say, we're going to go spend hours and time or, thousands of dollars to build this whole entertainment production stuff and then put it out there in the world and pray it leads to results without a guarantee truly.
Right. And I think in that respect, I think it's looking at yourself and looking at your family, because I know a lot of business owners have, wife, kids. What are they watching? Where's their time being spent? What are they buying? And I think this is one of those times that it's time to kind of look inside. Because for me, that's what it was more than anything else, is looking inside and looking at where do I spend my time? Where do I get my entertainment? What do I prefer for entertainment? And the cold hard reality, I prefer something where I can get exactly what I want. And right now, YouTube is doing a pretty good job of that. Now, if I was on Instagram a lot or more, I'm sure I would get, some better things there. But it's a matter of what's that format that your own people, you yourself, and then the people that you trust, your good employees, so to speak, what are they watching? How do they spend their time? How do they get their news? How do they get their entertainment? And I think when you see that, what you're going to realize is that, oh, there's a trend here. And what you'll probably find is between the employees you have, your own family, and maybe a few key customers that you talk to, you're going to start finding some commonalities. And that's where kind of this spending the effort to advertise there or build entertainment around that particular thing is the place to go. And I think that's what business owners are going to have to, that process is what they're going to have to go through in order to make that shift.
Okay. I think that's a really good way to look at how to, assess why you should be going into entertainment. How would you suggest connecting entertainment to branding? Because I think that's another really important point that everyone needs to think about is I agree 100%, and I mean, I've been pushing this last year now, well, 6 months now, right? I've been pushing this
Right.
push towards entertainment and I'm heavily pushing it in 2024, but you've got to connect it to brand. Like that is so important. So what would be some tips that you would say for people to think about in regards to making sure that yes, we want to build entertainment, but it's still got to connect to the brand. It's not entertainment for entertainment's sake.
Right. And that's a difficult one. In fact, I really think you should answer that question because I think you've got a better picture of that than what I do because I'm kind of like in the mechanics of the business, just so you understand. I'm more, Dad, I need something that does this. It's like, okay, this is how you do that. Or I need to do this. Okay, I will figure out how we do this.
Or lately, a lot of AI.
How do we get the AI to do what we want it to do? Copy. All right. I'll go figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think philosophically, I think you've got a better handle on that than what I do. So what would you say?
I mean, I would say as far as branding goes and connecting it to the entertainment, I think the big thing is understanding first what the core psychographic buying behavior is, right? Like I
Okay.
look at our business, I look at everyone else, and it's understanding either A, the psychographic buying behavior, or B, a large common interest group that everyone would classify themselves as, right?
Okay.
Um, and then it's building ideas on how to involve that, how to involve something that that kind of individual would want to watch with what you're creating.
Right. And the strange thing about that, just so you understand, is you may be the owner of the group, but you may also not be the owner of the group. You may just be a member of the group that does something like Josh has been doing. Just a member of this group. I'm just attending this meeting, but I'm doing videos.
Yeah. I'm trying to promote it. I'm trying to provide the
Yep.
resources to have it shared with more people. Yeah.
And that is better advertisement than actually even having your own channel, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also just, I think the big thing I would say as well is like, to your point you made earlier, I think you need to make sure it's done in a manner that is something you enjoy. So I think a good first step always is looking internally at your own like your own
Right.
self entertainment, and then looking at the people around you, like you said, what's their entertainment, what's their interest, and then looking for those commonalities really can help guide that focus, right? If you're into, America's Funniest Videos, for we'll use as a random
Okay.
example, right? If you and everyone around you loves America's Funniest Videos, then doing a bunch of America Funniest type videos about whatever it is, and you could be doing, you do sidewalk installation stuff, and you could be doing stupid, America Funniest Video fails in regards to, obviously for comedy purposes, in regards to that, and
Right.
create, videos and utilize people for that content. But it's really understanding what I think finding your own entertainment and then looking for that with your customers is huge, and just finding what's that group. Again, we go back to community and group. What's it care about? What does it enjoy? What would bring them all together?
Yeah. And I guess this is really to help explain this entertainment thing. Is in the old days when I was growing up, the networks dictated what your entertainment should be.
Yes.
It was dictated, and we put it out there, and it made it or failed, and then they did something different.
But there wasn't a lot.
But
Even if you
but
didn't like it, there wasn't
right.
a lot of options.
But well, you had networks, and you had the ideas of 3 different networks. That's it.
Yep.
And 7 days a week. Now we have literally the capability to have tens of thousands of different interests, and people have those. And oftentimes they'd be too small a group in some cases in any single area. I'm thinking like restoring antique cars.
Okay.
Okay, like there's a certain body of people like that here in Oregon. There's some interest in Washington. There's interest all across the country, but in most communities, there's 1 or 2 people, maybe 10.
Yep.
I mean, not a huge number of people, but they would all be attracted to that.
Yeah.
Or I ran across a fellow who,
Or they all would travel for that. It's the other big thing I've
yes,
seen.
yes, or old time original radios, the radios that were the size of a TV,
Okay.
trying to get the original tubes made by somebody else to go in there, getting knobs that look like the original knobs to go back on your radio so it looks like it did originally. Like, not a lot of people like that. I mean,
No.
there's around, but there's not a lot. But if you make knobs for radios, maybe it'd be good to have a channel all about antique radios.
Yep. Well, and this is the other thing that I think is really important too to look at. What are other things or other groups your customers are a part of?
Correct.
Right? Like understanding that someone who buys a Louis Vuitton purse is probably not buying a Honda Civic, right?
Right.
I mean, they may be, but there's a low probability of that. They're probably trying to drive a BMW or a Mercedes, or at least that's the goal.
Right.
And so understanding that I could have a show that talks about the life of an exotic woman and showcasing the Mercedes and BMW, and then my Louis Vuitton bag as a secondary piece is more than valuable entertainment to that group because they want all of the other as well.
Right.
And it's that kind of understanding of your customer that I think is really big. Okay. And just real quick, final things. What are you most excited for business wise for 2024 as far as when it comes to the community of for DMC and DMC's own marketing?
Yeah, I'm excited to see us start implementing AI for folks. I'm excited about seeing us uh, implement entertainment for folks, like with Isa's Zuri. I'm really excited to see how that ultimately pans out, because that might very well be worth double dips. And just so you know what I mean by double dipping is, if we create a YouTube channel for these videos that we're doing, then there's royalties from the YouTube channel that might very well cover our production costs for it.
Yep.
There are all kinds of opportunities, and it's hard to say to somebody, well, you need to do X.
Yeah.
Because the problem is that we've got 10,000 different X's that all could work, and they're all going to have different monetization. Some of them are direct. Some of them are indirect. Like if I'm thinking like whitewater rafting, right?
Yep.
If you can have videos every week of people who are whitewater rafting in different events or different, fails, and you're a whitewater rafting company, that would be a great reason to follow your whitewater rafting. I mean, I might even want to go
Right.
at some point, you know what I mean? Or tell my friends because that looks like fun.
Right. I think there is a point of ad fatigue. I mean, which is why I think entertainment is so important. Is I think social media. I do want to make this quick distinction. Social media used to be about just showcasing what you did,
Right.
and that was good enough, right? It's so heavily saturated today. To me, the focus on entertainment is greater than ever, as well as there's just the longevity aspect. People only want to watch the exact same thing so many times.
Right. Right. But I may only be interested in whitewater rafting when it comes up to spring, right? And what I need to
Push you over the edge.
to bring me into your specific place because the places on the river that you show me have showcased over the last
Yep.
2 years or 3 years look really cool.
Yeah.
Some of the experiences that people have had look really cool. I want those experiences.
I think that's a good point. Okay, and then final, real quick, what for 2024? Because you are realistically our digital wizard first, right? Like that is your
Yes.
real skill point. What would you say are some top tech people should be looking out for the marketing in 2024 to utilize?
So in 2023, we heard that AI was coming out. And it kind of came out and it was kind of clunky. Worked, but didn't really work and all that kind of thing. Now we're at the point where if you have something that's a task that you hate to do or takes you a long time to do, there's probably an AI that fixes that. If not, there probably will be in the next month or two. And the AI thing is coming so fast. So last year was kind of like, what are the possibilities of what AI can do? And this year is going to be, oh, here are all the things that AI is doing now.
Yep.
So those possibilities are realities. And you can probably find AI or some combination of AI and something else to do whatever you need done. And most of it is non-programming, non-coding type situations. So it's either going to be added on to what you already have to enhance, or it's going to be one of those things where you can just create from scratch, which is kind of what we're doing right now.
Right.
But
So
the whole
AI,
assistant,
so AI integration. What would you say are like? Because like, I want to kind of be a little bit more specific
okay,
for people.
so
right?
you want to be hard, want something hard. Writing. Writing was really bad last year.
Okay.
It got started, but it was pretty bad. And as you've noticed, it's gotten much better.
So AI for helping with writing,
Yep.
you think is going to be taking off in 2024?
Yes.
Okay.
They need it needs to at least write the rough draft, and then you can kind of put your
At least
angle on it.
utilize it, test it, and see what you think. But definitely something that you think every business owner should be looking into
Right.
is using AI for writing.
Right.
And would you suggest Claude or ChatGPT for that one? Or
I still like Claude better than ChatGPT, just because it tells you why it did what it did.
okay, okay,
And you can disagree with it, but
okay. So AI for writing. What's some tech tool that people should be tracking on for marketing in 2024?
I think AI for research.
Okay, how so?
Again, Bing, and just saying, hey, we are looking for this kind of a part. What are the kind of companies that would make this kind of part?
Okay.
What are some companies that do this kind of thing, or looking for something that does this? And it's save you time on search, and it's also going to have more of a conversation with you, which is what you really wanted with Google in the first place, was to not just give me a list, just throw up on me with a list of a bunch of websites that I've got to now go through and try to figure out which one of them is the right one.
Right.
But now kind of tell me what it is that I'm looking for. And now that I know what I'm looking for, now I can start applying that to the websites that I finally decide to look at.
Gotcha. And then any other tech tips for people with their marketing in 2024
I think marketing for
or gadgets that they should consider?
no, I think ChatGPT and Claude. You've got website changes. You've got all kinds of.
Well, what about as far as video and picture?
Video and picture is here. It's not quite here yet.
Okay.
Okay, in 3 months.
I will say I played around with Canva's Midjourney, and I love Canva's Midjourney interaction
Yeah.
for just like blog pictures or little meme pictures. Like
Yes.
it's a nice little tool to just
Yes,
put
yes.
something.
Well, Canva is one of the implementations for that. That is that again. Somebody developed an AI, it got perfected, and now it's been brought into a product.
Yeah.
So Canva's that bringing that creation into a product, which is great.
Okay.
And I don't want to take away from that. So yes, that's one of the things. I'm looking at the video creation tools, and we're really, really good.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. We're really close. So we're going to do some videos, and we're going to get some stuff and get some results, but they're going to require a lot of skill.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing in 2024 is that skill level is going to drop, just like it did. Like being a prompt engineer was huge January 1, 2023. Okay, that was
Yep.
really important to have that skill to be able to use AI. Now you don't need that skill to use AI.
Not for most things. Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's still helpful, but I mean, it's not a total requirement. What I'm seeing with video and images is going through the same thing, where you kind of need to understand the prompts and how to tell it what you want, because there's a specific way you have to talk to get an image. There's a specific way you have to talk to get that to do what you want.
Okay.
Okay.
I get what you're saying.
But now in this next year,
Yeah.
that's going to be just here's a picture. I want to have this
But
scene.
so for you would say, I just want to real quick wrap up. So you would say Claude and ChatGPT for helping out with your writing, Bing for helping out with your research on finding whatever it is you're trying to find or research out there. Canva for image generation potentially,
Yes.
and video generation potentially, or short video, I should say, generation potentially. And you would say those are the tools that people need to be looking at and looking into utilizing
Yes.
in 2024 with their marketing.
Those are the quick and dirty, easy tools that are pretty mature already.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's great. I would say personally, I mean, my personal opinion, I think this gimbal needs to get into every business hands.
Yes.
I Insta 360
Yeah.
gimbal is just
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And folks, what you don't about this is we have had this long conversation over the last 6 months, 9 months,
Yes.
something like that, about the gimbal, and it's like, well, why would you have a gimbal? I can just set it on a tripod and I can get the same picture. And you put the gimbal on the tripod and you get a different picture than you do if you just have the gimbal. You just have it attached to the tripod. I don't understand what it is, but the gimbal does something with
It's the auto leveling.
the auto leveling and the angles, and they're just enough different that it looks better.
Yeah.
It looks more professional. It's that next notch up, just because it's on the stupid gimbal. I mean, you can get the exact same angle from other things. I got other things. I get the exact same angle, and it still doesn't look as good as the gimbal.
Yeah, I agree. It's something. I mean, there's a little bit with the software, I'm sure too, but I mean, just in general, I mean, I think for that, I think of just like the tracking feature, how often I've used that for different shots, for different things.
Yep.
And it just creates this like really beautiful opportunity to create video content in a way that you've never had the opportunity to before, in my opinion.
I agree.
I would say another big one that I think every business owner needs to look into would be CapCut. I think them having the PC option as well as the mobile really huge upgrade compared to any other software out there. But between the Insta360 app and CapCut, I never need to leave my phone to do any editing, which is, I mean, to me, mind blowing.
Yep. Yeah, just so you know, CapCut is a video editor, and it's an AI video editor.
Well, they have AI features if you're paying for the stuff. Yep.
And it is only going to get better over time.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm waiting for a competitor for them, but until someone can compete with them right now, they seem to be really just dominating in the market as far as what the ease to use it and what it does. And what I mean by ease to use it is the logic makes sense.
Yep. In other words, you can just say, want this split up into 1 minute shorts, and it will figure out how to split it up into 1 minute shorts.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of, I think, really cool stuff with it. So that would be my two. Is I would say the Insta360 gimbal and CapCut. And I think with all of that, you can really have a really amazing marketing opportunity. I do want to say one last thing, one last question, because we're kind of talking about all this tech. When it comes to ideas for, do you have any tips from you on AI and marketing and getting ideas? Because I know one of the big ones people have been pushing is, oh, just ask ChatGPT what ideas. And I personally haven't been impressed. I
No.
haven't found any of those prompts to give me ideas that are really that mind-boggling different or that mind-boggling amazing. Like there's some good ones, but I don't like that's ever been a good way.
Well,
And I'm just
that's
curious if
because
that's your experience or
well,
if you've seen otherwise.
yeah, you don't have the right prompt. I have the ultimate prompt.
I've tried your ultimate prompt. I'm still not very impressed.
You're not impressed by my ultimate prompt? I like my ultimate prompt. It was just not something I generated. It's something another fellow generated, and we're going to give him credit for it because he deserves a huge amount of credit. But it basically is a prompt where it causes ChatGPT to ask you questions before it gets all excited about answering.
Yeah, but I feel like I feel like for you, it's an ultimate prompt mainly because you like the logic behind things. And, I mean, we'll make a different video on all of that.
Yeah.
But I feel like for you, getting the logic behind things is really valuable. I don't think that makes it an ultimate prompt.
Well, I like talking through things. And when you talk through things with ChatGPT, you give it all the background, all the stuff
Does
that's
it work for
sitting in your
Claude?
head. It works for Claude. It works incredibly
Okay.
well for Claude. I had Claude carry me through an entire process, and the only place Claude fell down is I asked Claude later, how should I have told you to do this? And it gave me 3 things to say to describe what I wanted it to do, and it would have taken my information and done the right thing. But like it pulled out all the right information for me, exactly what I needed to actually write what I wanted. In fact, our thing on AI is what it pulled out.
Yeah.
So it got me to give all this information, and then the only thing I couldn't get it to do was at the end, don't hallucinate. Just take my facts and put them into a document.
Gotcha.
But it did a great job of really helping me think through and talk through and say some things I wouldn't have normally.
Is that from
do
you have a link for that from a website, or are we able to build a link on that for our website for it?
We can put it out there.
I just think
If you think we should put it out there.
Yeah. And I think for people who think like you, I think we could have I mean, if you could just real quickly, I think just have a page with a link. I think, just having a link, a page that says AI support, right? Or Claude support, and then just a link for Claude, a link for the ultimate prompt in there that they can copy and paste into Claude, and then, maybe 2 sentences on here's how to use this. I think that would be valuable because I think a lot of people are going to watch this. I think a lot of people, even without watching this, are on this AI, how do I use it? And I think people who are like you, who like to think things out, your prompt is really good for that. I think for people who want to have like okay, what about this or what, it does do a good job of making you walk through versus just answering. So I think that'd be really valuable to a lot of people.
Okay. We can do that.